Hey Celtics Nation, what a weekend it's been, and man, I gotta say, things are starting to feel different around this Boston team. You can sense the energy shifting, the chemistry building. Honestly, even though it's still preseason basketball, you can't help but get hyped. So let's talk about it, because these last couple of games told us a lot about where this squad is heading, who's stepping up, and maybe even who's quietly fighting for those final rotation spots. Let's start with that matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers, because that one got out of control fast. You could tell right away that Boston came in with a purpose. The ball was flying around, guys were cutting hard, and that pace, man, that pace was something else. In the first preseason game, the Celtics looked a little hesitant, almost like they were feeling things out. But in the last two, they've completely flipped the switch. Against Cleveland, they came out blazing, scoring 33 in the first quarter while holding the Cavs to just 17. Then 37 in the second, 32 in the third, and they closed it out with 36 more in the fourth. That's consistency. That's tempo. That's the kind of rhythm that wins games when it really matters. Now sure, before we get too carried away, we've got to be honest about who the Cavs actually put on the floor. No Mobley, no Allen, no Garland, no Mitchell, basically none of their main rotation guys. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. But that doesn't change the fact that Boston looked sharp, confident, and ready to run. The starting lineup featured Chris Boucher, Sam Hauser, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, and Jaylen Brown, with Anthony Simons coming off the bench. Right away, that mix of youth, speed, and shooting felt electric. And speaking of shooting, finally, the three-point game started to come alive. Boucher hit 2 of his 3 attempts. Hauser went 2 for 4. And even though Derek White struggled a bit at 2 for 7, you could tell he's getting the looks he wants. Pritchard stayed steady, 2 for 5 from deep, and then Simons came off the bench and absolutely lit it up. 6 for 9 from 3, 6 for 12 overall, 21 points in 25 minutes, and a plus 15 while he was out there. That's just instant offense. Every time he touched the ball, it felt like something good was going to happen. Offensively, Simons seems to have found his rhythm in Joe Mazzulla's system. He's attacking with confidence, playing within the flow, and man, that jumper looks pure. Defensively, he's still got some things to iron out. He's been fouling a lot, but that at least shows he's trying to stay aggressive, not just floating around. If he can turn that energy into real stops, the Celtics might have found themselves another key piece for that second unit. But let's not overlook Peyton Pritchard. Fast PP, as some of us like to call him, though I know some fans hate that nickname, has been everywhere. His pace, his intensity, his willingness to shoot without hesitation, it's infectious. When he and Simons share the floor, the Celtics suddenly look like one of the fastest teams in the league. They push the tempo, they shoot early, and they don't let defenses get set. That's the kind of modern basketball that Joe Mazzulla's been preaching, and we're finally seeing it come alive. Now, we've got to talk about Josh Minott. And I'll admit it, I wasn't totally sold on him at first. I thought he might just be another energy guy who comes in for a few garbage time minutes, and that's it. But man, was I wrong. The dude has been a spark plug on both ends. He comes in, and everything just gets faster, more chaotic, more alive. Against the Cavs, he played 23 minutes, went 5 for 9 from the field, knocked down 4 of 5 from the line, hit a couple of threes, and finished with 16 points and 16 boards. 16 rebounds. For a guy fighting for rotation minutes, that's no joke. What really stands out about Minott isn't just his stat line, it's the energy. He plays like every possession matters, like every minute on the court is a chance to prove he belongs. You can see how much Joe Mazzulla values that kind of intensity. This coaching staff loves players who do the little things, who sprint back on defense, who crash the glass, who don't take plays off. And Minott checks all those boxes. Right now, he's playing himself into real consideration for those bench minutes. A few weeks ago, that spot probably belonged to Baylor Shireman or maybe even Hugo Gonzalez. But based on what we've seen lately, it's Minott's to lose. Speaking of those other guys, Shireman's still trying to find his rhythm. The shot's not falling right now. He went 1 for 5 against Cleveland and then 0 for 3 from deep versus Toronto, but he's at least showing some playmaking flashes. 6 rebounds, 6 assists, that's encouraging. Gonzalez got a little bit of run too, nothing flashy, just solid minutes. Jordan Walsh sat out with that left adductor issue, so we didn't get another look at him. Now, let's jump to Friday night against Toronto. The Celtics lost that one 107-105, and yeah, they blew a lead. It was classic Boston nostalgia. Up by 20, then things start slipping away, and before you know it, the Raptors are hitting shots, and the Celtics are scrambling. But honestly, it's preseason. Nobody's losing sleep over that. What mattered more was the way they looked through 3 quarters. The effort was there, the ball movement was crisp, and again, the guards set the tone. That night, the starting 5 was Josh Minott, Chris Boucher, Neemias Queta, Peyton Pritchard, and Anthony Simons. Pritchard and Simons combined for 37 points. Pritchard went 3 for 8 from deep, finished with 19, while Simons added 18. Boucher was incredible, 7 for 10 from the field, 2 for 5 from deep, 19 points, and 9 boards. Minott chipped in another 13 and 6, continuing to make his case for steady rotation time. But here's where things get a little tricky, the big man situation. And if you've been watching closely, you can probably feel the same thing I do. Something's off with Neemias Queta. We spent most of the offseason talking about him like he was about to break out, like he might become that starting caliber center we've been waiting for. And maybe he still can, but lately, his minutes have dipped and the impact hasn't quite been there. Against Toronto, 17 minutes for points, 5 boards. Against Cleveland, only 7 minutes. 7. That's not what you want to see if he's supposed to be a core part of the big rotation. It's starting to look like Mazzulla might be leaning toward a committee approach. You've got Queta, Luke Garza, Xavier Tillman, and Boucher all getting touches in those frontcourt spots. Boucher's versatility lets them play small with him at the 5, and that might be the direction they go if they want to push tempo and space the floor. Still, the lack of rebounding could haunt them. Mazzulla's been fiery about it lately. Anyone who misses a defensive rebound assignment gets yanked right away. Jaylen Brown, Luka Garza, didn't matter who it was. If you missed your box out, you sat. That kind of accountability is new, and honestly, it's probably necessary. The Celtics have been near the bottom of the league in defensive rebounding rates so far. And when you lose guys like Tatum, Horford, Porzingis, and even Drew Holiday, it's hard to replace that kind of presence on the glass. Mazzulla knows it, and he's setting the tone early. He wants effort, discipline, and toughness. Because for as fun as the offense looks, you don't win in this league without controlling the boards. Now, while the excitement around the guards and the new energy on the wings keeps everyone buzzing, we need to talk a little more about what's happening behind the scenes with this Boston Celtics squad. Because yes, the vibes are high, but there are still some question marks that could shape how this team looks once the regular season starts. And it starts with the bigs because that's where the story is getting interesting. Chris Boucher has quietly become one of the biggest surprises of the preseason. Every time he's on the court, something happens. He stretches the floor, blocks shots, runs like a guard, and plays with the kind of confidence that just makes everyone else around him better. The Celtics have used him both at the 4 and at the 5, and that versatility might end up saving them in the short term. Against the Raptors, he looked strong. Against the Cavs, he dominated. And you can tell he's embracing this chance to redefine his role. He's always been a bit of a mystery, a guy with talent, flashes, but never quite a permanent home. But right now, Boston feels like the perfect fit. You can sense the crowd warming up to him, too. And speaking of Boucher, his story has become something that goes beyond basketball. He recently shared a personal piece about his journey, what he's been through, and the mental battles he's faced. It's raw, honest, and you can't help but root for him after reading it. The way he plays, with so much emotion and urgency, it all makes sense once you understand what drives him. Every rebound, every three-pointer, every block, it all feels personal. Now, let's shift to the guy everyone's been watching closely, Neemias Queta. Look, this was supposed to be his breakout moment. After a solid Eurobasket stretch, there was a lot of talk that he could solidify himself as Boston's long-term answer at center. But the preseason hasn't gone exactly how he, or the team, probably envisioned. He's not talking much, his minutes are slipping, and the energy that made him stand out early on just hasn't been there. It's not panic time, But you can see the coaching staff is experimenting with other combinations. Joe Mazzulla is clearly still figuring out who he can trust, and that's part of the challenge. Without their top rebounders from last year, Tatum, Horford, Porzingis, and even Drew Holiday, Boston's suddenly thin on big bodies who can control the glass. Luke Garza and Xavier Tillman bring size, sure, but they don't bring the same athleticism or versatility. That's why you're seeing more small ball lineups, with Boucher sliding to the 5 or even Minot playing some minutes as a stretch 4. It's not perfect, but it's fast, and that's the trade-off Mazzulla seems willing to make. You can see how seriously he's taking the rebounding issue, though. In that Cavs game, Jaylen Brown missed a defensive board, and Mazzulla immediately barked from the sideline. Brown stayed in until halftime, but when he made the same mistake in the second half, he was pulled instantly. The same thing happened with Garza the next night. You don't box out, you sit. That's the message. And honestly, the kind of accountability might be exactly what this team needs. Because talent isn't the problem, discipline and focus are. On offense, though, it's hard not to smile at what this group is building. The pace is wild, the spacing looks better than it has in years, and there's a confidence that's contagious. Pritchard and Simons together are becoming one of those backcourt duos that opposing teams just hate dealing with. Both can handle, both can shoot, both can create for others. It's like there's always a spark on the floor. And when one of them sits, the other one keeps the pressure on. That's something Boston hasn't had in a long time. Consistent scoring punch from the bench. Derek White is doing what Derek White does best. He's not flashy, he's not loud, but he's always there at the right moment. He's making smart passes, rotating perfectly on defense, blocking shots from nowhere. You can't teach that kind of awareness. It's the glue that holds the rest together. And Jaylen Brown, man, he's locked in. He looks powerful, explosive, confident. There's a purpose in his movement, like he knows this season means something bigger. Maybe it's redemption after last year. Maybe it's leadership, but whatever it is, you can feel it every time he touches the ball. Then there's Jason Tatum. The constant question around his status keeps popping up, especially with those training clips floating online. You see him dunking, moving, smiling, and naturally the fans start dreaming. Is he coming back soon? They ask. But everyone inside the organization seems to be keeping expectations realistic. Even if he's getting stronger, the smart money says it'll be late February or early March before we see him. Still, seeing him out there moving gives the whole team a lift. It's like this quiet reminder that something special could still be waiting down the road. Now, as good as things have looked on offense, Boston's identity is still being rebuilt. This team used to be about defense, about toughness, switching everything, and locking down the perimeter. Now, with so many new pieces and different lineups, they're learning to blend that grit with a faster, freer style. Mazzulla's made it clear, if you don't defend, you don't play. That message has been loud in every timeout, every substitution. You can tell he's trying to shape not just a team, but a mentality. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In a move that has sent shockwaves through both the basketball and soccer worlds, the Celtic Football Club, famed for its storied history in European soccer, has reportedly set its sights on one of the NBA's biggest stars, Kevin Durant. While the news remains unconfirmed by either party, sources close to the matter suggest that discussions between the Celtics management and Durant's representatives have been very serious and could signal a groundbreaking cross-sport collaboration unlike anything fans have ever seen. For years, the basketball world has been dominated by speculation over player trades, super teams, and free agency drama. But the thought of Kevin Durant donning a green and white Celtic jersey is something that transcends traditional sports chatter. Social media erupted within minutes of the rumor circulation, with fans divided between disbelief, excitement, and skepticism. Memes have flooded timelines, depicting Durant soaring past defenders on a soccer pitch or sinking three-pointers from the penalty spot. Imagery that feels almost too surreal to process. Insiders hint that Durant's involvement could be more than a ceremonial gesture or marketing stunt. Talks reportedly include possibilities for on-field appearances, global promotional events, and even a potential role in shaping the club's athletic training programs. While no formal contract has been disclosed, Celtics' audacious approach seems aimed at positioning the club as a global brand, not just in soccer, but across multiple sports platforms. NBA analysts have been quick to weigh in, with some calling the rumor absurd yet fascinating, and others warning that such a leap could be financially and logistically impossible. Meanwhile, Celtic fans appear undeterred, embracing the idea with the kind of fervor usually reserved for major European transfers. "It's wild, but I love it," one supporter tweeted. "If Durant wants to play for Celtic, we welcome him with open arms." Whether this story is destined to remain a tantalizing rumor or evolve into one of the most unexpected crossovers in sports history, one thing is certain. Kevin Durant and Celtic have captured the imagination of millions. The buzz alone is enough to make even casual fans pay attention. And in a world where sports headlines are increasingly dominated by the unexpected, this potential pairing might just be the craziest and most thrilling rumor of the year. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.